The Elder Scrolls 6 is destined to fail, and I'm gonna tell you why, but let me give a quick disclaimer for this video. It's not to deflect critical or negative comments or anything like that. I actually welcome critical comments. I just want to tell you how I'm approaching this topic. I'm not a game developer, I'm not a professional video game critic, and I'm not here to make a 12-hour video essay on why Skyrim fails at making players feel X, Y, and Z, or why Morrowind is objectively better than Oblivion, or whatever. That's just not my thing. If you want to discuss deep mechanical comparisons in the comments, go for it. I encourage that if that's something that you want to do. I'll try to add to those conversations if I see something I agree with or if I disagree with you on, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about a little bit of history, what it means to have a double-edged sword situation, and what makes the series click for me, and why I think the future of Elder Scrolls is looking rough no matter what. Thank you for listening to that. Okay, now on to the video. I've heard time and time again about how the Elder Scrolls 6 will flop and won't live up to expectations. I've done many polls, community posts, I've uploaded a lot of videos, I've streamed a lot, and I always get like at least one or sometimes a lot of comments asking me if I think that the Elder Scrolls 6 will live up to the hype. I've thought about it a little bit and what it might look like for Bethesda 6 months after the Elder Scrolls 6 is released. I started thinking about it a lot actually, and I think I've got some good talking points and points of interest that we can look at together to kind of get a better understanding of how people feel. I'll go ahead and let you know that yes, I agree with most people who say that the Elder Scrolls will quote unquote be a bad game, but I think that my reasons for thinking that the Elder Scrolls 6 isn't going to be good are a bit different. I feel that some of the stuff that I'm going to say in this video might give you a different perspective, and honestly, it might even lower your expectations, but in a good way. I don't mean lower your expectations as in you thinking, oh, this game's going to suck. No. I mean in the way where, instead, you think to yourself, this game is going to be good, but not in the way that I am hoping it to be. So, I'm just going to come out and announce to you the meat and potatoes of my argument. It's just one sentence. And before I say this one sentence, I encourage you to watch this video the whole way through because each segment builds on top of one another. It's like a sandwich. Are you really gonna miss that last piece of bread? That would be weird, man. Anyway, here's my argument. I believe that the success of Skyrim unintentionally hurt every future project Bethesda will ever work on. It's a bit of a mouthful, so I'll phrase it a bit differently if you didn't understand it. Skyrim's success doomed the Elder Scrolls 6. If you're someone who dislikes Skyrim, I can already hear you typing and you're probably halfway through a paragraph, so let's just calm down and let me explain it a bit further. I have a new segment on this channel. It's called Word of the Day. And in this video, the word of the day is objectively. Objectively, Skyrim was a massive, massive success. But that doesn't mean that everybody had to love it. There's millions of people out there right now that are not like you and I. There's a difference in people who watch this video who have played Skyrim and the millions of people who have played Skyrim and only kind of understand the rise and decline in quality. The difference between us and other, average players, it comes down to the fact that we deeply engage with the details of a game. Most of you guys, the ones who watch in this video, you love probably dissecting, not every little thing, but a lot of things like the way NPCs react, how quest lines are structured, or hidden mechanics that make the world feel alive. And that's because we're passionate about the game on a deeper level. Others can simply play and just enjoy it for what it is, appreciating when something is well done and noticing when something is not good. Both perspectives are valid. One is just more analytical, that's us, while the other one, the average players, they care more about just how the game makes them feel. Sorry for the TED Talk. The reason for me explaining all of this is to kind of put your mind in a different parking spot. Or at the very least, get you to put your mind in reverse to change to a different parking spot so that we can tackle this from a different mindset. There's a big reason why Skyrim still has 25 to 50,000 average players on Steam, and that's just Steam, that's not including every console that's on the market. You might be thinking to yourself, well, they've had over a decade to create thousands of mods making it able to be played 1,000 different ways. And yeah, that's true. But if I have 400 mods installed to the point where Skyrim is barely noticeable, I'm still playing Skyrim. You know I like analogies, so here's my attempt for this one. If I make a really good sandwich, like a really good sandwich, with the best ingredients ever, replacing the bread with slices of watermelon is going to be disgusting. The ingredients in this example are the mods, and the bread that you're replacing is Skyrim. Even though the bread doesn't add much in terms of flavor to the sandwich, it's still there and you would notice it if it wasn't. It's like Skyrim. Like if you're bored with baseline Skyrim, installing 400 mods would be great, but if it wasn't on Skyrim, you probably wouldn't be playing it. That leads me to the next segment of this video, and that is the fact that a very large majority of people who enjoy Elder Scrolls associate the Elder Scrolls with Skyrim. I see you in the comments. You're 42 years old and you have 2 kids who are in their freshman year of college, and you like to reminisce about the good old days of Daggerfall and Morrowind. But you guys have become the minority when it comes to Elder Scrolls fans. That's not a personal attack from me either. That's just a fact as well as a little joke. Everybody knows that 42 is the new 32, and you've still got a lot of time ahead of you. I know you'll do fine. Skyrim was so successful that they released it literally 16 times.
16 times the detail.
How funny is that? I'm not even making that up. If you include the Switch, Alexa, every console it's been out on, and every special/legendary edition. That's insane. Even if you take away the Alexa, like it's still a lot. I mean, 6 is a lot. And 6 is the number of times Oblivion has been released on different platforms with different versions. So in my opinion, the argument that Skyrim isn't a good game just doesn't hold much value for me. If you think that Morrowind is better than Skyrim, I respect your opinion, and you're completely in the right for believing that, but millions of people think that Skyrim is the best RPG they've ever played. You aren't the problem. Let me repeat that. You are not the problem if you think that previous Elder Scrolls titles are better than current ones. The problem is that Skyrim sold so many copies and got so much media attention that it's going to be impossible, almost impossible, for anything to live up to the expectations that Skyrim set. And when I say that, I don't mean that Skyrim's the best game ever. I'm just simply saying it's been hyped into oblivion, no pun intended. So let's dig a little bit even deeper into why Skyrim set so many expectations on a technical level that a normie could understand. The amount of innovation and the massive leap that they took from Fallout 3 to Skyrim is insane. Even though it was only a 3-year gap between Fallout 3 and Skyrim, the graphical and mechanical divide is almost overwhelming to think about. And I can hear you again typing, just calm down, man. I'll acknowledge that obviously there were other games at the time that looked really good besides Skyrim. Batman Arkham City, for example, came out in 2011. It's still one of the best examples of a game that still holds up today in terms of graphics. Also, it's really fun. I'd definitely recommend it. If Batman Arkham City came out tomorrow, I don't think many people would bat an eye. Anyway, back to my Skyrim point. I'm strictly talking about Bethesda's leap. I don't give a shit about other studios. I'm sure that some of you would agree, though, that less fans look at the leap from Fallout 3 to Skyrim, but instead they look at the Oblivion to Skyrim improvements. Sure, Oblivion is much older, but in my opinion, Skyrim isn't an improvement over Fallout 3. Sure, it's an upgrade in hardware and graphics, and it's just more advanced overall, but Skyrim, to me, is the improvement in the Elder Scrolls, which is how I would say most fans see it. I also understand that there isn't much difference in the way that Oblivion and Fallout 3 handles. It's almost the exact same engine, I'm pretty sure. And like I said earlier, I'm not here to discuss like little tiny mechanical things. I don't care. Okay, if you took a normal person and you showed them Oblivion and Fallout, you would be like, oh, that's the sword game just with guns. And to prove my point even further, I don't think most people think about it like, oh, Fallout 4 is such an improvement over Skyrim. I don't think that they do. I mean, if you do, let me know in the comments, but I think that they say Fallout 4 is an improvement over Fallout 3. In my mind, it's the same reason why people don't say, oh, Rocket League is such an improvement over Overwatch. To me, and I think a lot of Bethesda fans, we don't see much correlation between Fallout and the Elder Scrolls besides just the team that makes it. With that being said, I want to talk a little bit more about the enhancements from Oblivion to Skyrim and how I think that this attributed to Skyrim's success, which will be one of the hurt factors for the Elder Scrolls 6. And yes, I promise, this is all leading to a point where I talk about the next Elder Scrolls game. I'm not going to go into extreme detail, but I do want to point out some upgrades that added to the shock factor for some people. Graphics obviously were a big deal. You cannot deny without sounding like a clown that Skyrim looks better in Oblivion. It just does. The UI also was something totally different than what we had seen before. It was smooth transitions whenever you were talking to someone or engaging in dialogue. You didn't get a mouthful of the NPC's nose whenever you talked to them, meaning it felt more natural to talk to NPCs. Cooking, crafting, upgrading your gear, potion making, it all felt way better and more fleshed out, and I think that's because it had unique animations associated with it. It felt more alive and organic in a way. I'll agree that some of the quests kind of sucked, but I do feel like there was more quote-unquote more to do. Exploration was totally different too. I feel like in Oblivion there was a lot of copy and paste with minor changes, and I've said that before, and I've acknowledged that yeah, like I feel like a lot of the dungeons and shit in Oblivion were copy and paste, but I think they all had a tiny bit of their own unique personality, and it's understandable that they had to do that considering that's where they were in technology. In my opinion, I had a much better time exploring in Skyrim. Do you know what I'm saying? Is this all making sense now? I'm not questioning your IQ here. All I'm saying is that Skyrim came out swinging. When Skyrim came out, it was compared to Oblivion, and so on with previous titles. That's natural. That's what you do. When The Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, it's only human nature that we're going to want to compare it to Skyrim, and I just don't think it's going to live up to it. And here's the section of the video you've all been waiting for so patiently, and I want to say I appreciate it. So here it is. What I think is going to happen when the next Elder Scrolls is released is that it's going to be a very good game, but because of Skyrim, it's going to be criticized into the dirt. That's just how I personally feel. And I feel like I'm in this weird process of lowering my expectations even though we haven't even seen or heard anything in 7 years since that teaser trailer came out. To further push this in, can you imagine when they finally tell us or show us something new? There's going to be a million videos with hundreds of millions of views talking about and speculating what this game is going to be like. The hype train is going to be unbelievable. It might actually be like a top 10, maybe even top 5 most anticipated game of all time when you see the metrics of how many people played and continued to play Skyrim and all the other games. But that's what I think. I think that no matter how well this game is made, it's just going to disappoint a lot of people. Not out of malice, but out of conditioning to expect greater and greater things. So yeah, I think The Elder Scrolls 6 will be a good game. It's just going to be extremely hard for people to separate our expectations from reality. I don't mean that as in, oh, don't expect Bethesda to do a good job. I want them to do a good job, and I want them to deliver us a good game. I think that what we need to try to do, and I mean, this is asking a lot, but I think that we need to try and disconnect what we're expecting. Like, you know, from what we've gotten from previous Elder Scrolls games. I don't think that the next one would do as good as Skyrim in terms of like sales or whatever, but I think that if we kind of turn our brains off and only participate in cautious speculation, I think we can try to enjoy it. It's not the same Bethesda anymore. That's just the reality. It sucks. I'm very disappointed with how Starfield, and I'm kind of disappointed with how Fallout 4 turned out. I get so many people asking me why I have hope, and the answer is really simple. I think that Bethesda is still capable of making good games. I think that what they need is to return to their roots and come up with something fresh that we might not expect. And that's why I've been holding out. That's why I say that word hope so much. I get so many people like, people are still excited for this game? Are you serious? I feel like I've been very critical of like the next Elder Scrolls game. I mean, if that wasn't true before, I mean, it's definitely true now. And I think that if one of those types of people who like still believe like it's just going to be a bad game just because it's going to be a bad game, I think if that type of person watches this video 100 times, it still wouldn't resonate with their brain that maybe it's not going to be a good game because of how much Skyrim we've had. I mean, like, you have to think about it this way. Like, some people, some Bethesda fans, only know of Skyrim. Like, I mean, they know of the other games, but they grew up playing Skyrim. I've been playing Skyrim since the 9th grade. Of course, I'm going to associate what the next Elder Scrolls should be like with what I know now. Like, if I've been eating red apples for 27 years and somebody gives me a green apple and I've never seen one, I've never tasted a green apple, and I bite into it and I'm expecting it to taste like a red apple and it's not, and it's sour, I'm going to be like, ooh, what the hell? Like, what is that? Like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And there's still going to be people who are like, well, it's just bad. It's just bad. No, lower your expectations. Yeah, Starfield sucked. And I know that, like, some people might be thinking, like, why do you think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be good when Starfield sucked? Starfield was, like, their first time attempting that kind of thing. Starfield was way too big. Really, I can make a lot of points about that, but I think I really only need one point as to why Starfield really sucked. I think it was too stretched. It was stretched thin, too big, too massive, not immersive at all. I mean, it was a mess. I think by returning to those smaller handcrafted areas, the handcrafted stuff, I think if we return to that, I'm hoping that it's better. But we won't know until we know, will we? So don't take anything I've said here as fact or I know for sure, I know for certain. This is mostly just a speculation video, and it's, in my opinion, I think that everything I've said here is the main reason why I think people aren't as excited for the Elder Scrolls 6 as they want to be. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. You know, like I said at the beginning of the video, I I welcome those kinds of comments. If you disagree with me on something, if you think that I'm wrong about something, like, let me know. I'm gonna be the first person to be like, yeah, let's talk about that. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you like Bethesda related news and if you like just RPG stuff in general, like, please subscribe, and I'll see you later. See ya.